I dedicate this to Lisa. She wanted me to dedicate something to her so then she could listen to it. But you're not part of this.
I don't want Lisa involved with this.
She wants it to be a shout out, so then she will listen to the whole thing.
I'm going to stay well out of this.
Okay. I've done my job, that's it.
Cool.
I get my sweet backhand payment now.
I don't want a backhand payment from Lisa.
Let's leave that. Now you can go.
It's not that kind of podcast.
No, it's not. Today we are doing our top 10 games of 2019. I am Steve.
I'm still Darryl.
I was Iain.
Oh no.
What are you now?
You'll find out.
Oh god,
Stay tuned.
I'm the broken husk of a man that has become the vessel of Ian's soul.
To be fair, when you look in your eyes now, there is definitely some fear and pain that's gone through there.
Can we just give you a pet name? Just to...
Igor.
Bobby Davro.
Bobby
Just
Davro.
trying to think of someone else as ludicrously unhappy as I am. He must be unhappy.
Should we just call you Giggles?
Oh god.
Oh.
Something really unfitting.
Little clown nose at the end, like, morphing slowly.
I'm not sure I'm happy with the implication of giggle.
No, okay. So we're going with Bobby Davro.
Sure.
And we're joined today by, not the Bobby Davro, but Bobby Davro.
A Bobby Davro.
A Bobby Davro.
One of the many. We all changed places.
And, okay, so we're going to set a few ground rules here, because board game releases are dodgy as hell. Essentially, it's anything at all is eligible for this list that was released this year. So in other words, if it got a Kickstarter release this year, it's eligible. If it got a UK retail release this year, it's eligible. I think as well we'll probably include some second editions as well and things like that. We'll make them right for the taking as well.
Basically, this is our list and our rules. You don't get a say.
Essentially, yes. So I think we'll start off by a few honourable mentions because, as you could probably guess, we have not played everything that was released this year.
It's impossible.
It is. Well, I think Dice Tower do a good job of trying to get as much done as possible.
It's possible, but as a functioning adult.
Yes. Yeah, if this was our sole job, then there's probably less excuse for doing it, but we all have regular jobs and can't play every single game. Mind you, it's not only that, you then need a number of friends that are all also jobless and willing to play games at the drop of a hat, you know?
That's a good idea, though.
We'll just employ the homeless.
Yeah.
We can't afford to give them a wage or
anything. Go down bottom of High Street. Play Galaxy Trucker with me, please.
What? Here's the rules. Read them.
Your payment is a few hours of non-exposure. But anyway,
wow. Fuck.
I know. Let's move on. So honourable mentions. I will say there are a few games that have been making a lot of top 10s that we have not played, such as the Alexander Pfister games, Maracaibo, and Blackout Hong Kong. I've seen Pipeline on a few top 10s. We have not played that. Black Angel was also very, very popular. I've played the solo version of it, but haven't been able to sit down and play it with a group of gamers. So it didn't make my list. I know it wouldn't have made your guys' lists either, because I don't think you guys have played it.
Nope.
So like I said, there are going to be omissions from there. Were there any games that you think the rest of us have played that...
Outer Rim I didn't play, but it's my sort of jam. So it's entirely possible I would really liked Outer Rim, but it's not fair for me to just dash it on there because I haven't played it. Also...
The diving one?
Deep Blue,
that's it, thank you.
We both agree that probably would have been a good one.
We both want to try that, and I didn't get to play, what's it called, the Warhammer Fantasy Fighting Chaos Boys.
Warcry.
Oh, Warcry, yeah.
I never played Warcry, and the reason for that is because they announced that there's going to be a new gang for it, which I really wanted.
To be fair, they look pretty decent.
And I don't want to buy two gangs when I want to play the Spy Tyrants, which are out like next week.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I've not played that, but that's again something that's super up my street.
Journeys in Middle Earth, actually, did you?
No, again, that's another thing that's really up my street. I never actually got a chance to play.
Yeah.
Was Root out this year or last year?
Root was out It got okay. It got a UK retail release in January of 2019. So yes, that is
Okay, so Root again is not one I've played.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
those are a lot of games that realistically I would have thought had made my top 10 had I had the chance to play them.
It's funny actually because I believe the Kickstarter version of Root actually was released in something like August in 2018 or something like that, but then didn't get a UK retail release until January 2019. So it is eligible.
These are the
list.
vague rules we're playing with.
Yeah, so don't get on our case about including games that were released in 2018.
I mean,
like we said, these are our rules
you
here.
definitely
So
can get on our case. We will ignore you.
yes, yeah.
Or actively...
Yeah, I feel like we pursue something
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
actively hunt you down.
Yeah, we have the resources. They're small, but we have them.
Okay, so shall we establish an order that we're doing
Speak for
these?
yourself.
If we start from either left to right or right to left, as to who's gonna
Left.
go first.
Their left or our left?
Your left.
Let's establish this here. Me or you go first.
You.
The big shoes.
I'll go first on each one.
Yeah, we should do left to right, because that's what sane people do, but stage left to stage right.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Right, alright.
I have no background in theatre and don't really know which is which, but
that's the picture of us.
Yeah.
You're stage left, Darryl is stage centre, and I'm
yeah,
stage
I'm on the
right.
left.
I'm always going to be the centre.
Cool. Okay, so I'll always start things off. One thing we should establish, if we have a game which is going to be a crossover later down the line, we'll briefly talk about it, but we won't go into too much depth, and someone else step in and say, actually, we'll
I've
talk
got that
about this
later,
later.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's start with our number 10s.
Ooh.
And my number 10 is Robbie Munn's Summoner's Isle. So, this one, I think I mentioned before, is a very simple game. It's one that I really loved. The idea is you have your board and you have pieces that can be placed on areas. It's kind of like an area control game. But like I said, there's no movement of, or anywhere that you have to put your pieces in between. You simply can just put it on any free space on this board and then start moving and attacking things. I thought it was really good. I like that idea of placing your pieces on any empty square. It means you don't necessarily want to put your pieces on a space where you want your piece to end, but you're kind of already pre-planning where you want to move it to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I really liked about the game. It also has a rubber banding system in it as well, so one person can't get too far ahead. And it's made it just one of the games which I like to use to teach
It was really simple to
newcomers.
play.
I think we played it with Reed, didn't we?
We did play it with
And
Reed,
that's
yeah.
one of those, not the first board game she ever played, that would be patronising. It's like the first she played with us.
Yes.
And we've been doing it a lot. So, yeah, relatively inexperienced. It was a great game to get stuck in with new players.
Yeah.
And I will say as well, on my number 10, I've got Summer's Idol, because my autocorrect is bad. So
We get so I guess I guess we'll come back to
Sequel.
Summoner's Isle then in a moment. Then.
as well, it's my number 10. So we
Are we
can
going
just-
from me to Darryl to you?
We
Oh,
can.
right, we might as well just cover both of ours right
yeah.
now then. Okay, as it's the same number for both of them. But yeah, essentially, this makes it into my list alone on the fact that I will be using this game to teach people now.
I enjoyed the hell out of how tactical it is, but also easy to grasp.
Yeah, it's nice.
As someone who enjoys a tactical element to a game where you plan stuff and you're kind of scheming and doing things, it's almost Memoir 44-esque in the way that you move individual units. And I know...
Yeah, it's like you have a nomination of a unit type, and you
Yeah.
have to move all of them at once. Everyone gets to move theirs, obviously in turn, but you don't get to move all your pieces until...
And that's something I like about that game, that I'm sort of planning where I'm moving my pieces and looking at where my opponent might be moving and using my resources in the best way I can to stop that happening or do something for myself. And I prefer the way Summoner's Isle does it.
Yeah.
I think. And the theme is nice as well. So it's,
It is, yeah.
it's
The artwork on it's beautiful.
Really, really nice.
Like,
yeah.
Really, really good. And for a game that's produced independently, it's...
By a single man.
I don't know whether he actually did the artwork for it, but he
I like the
certainly...
idea Robbie Munn has 6 arms.
Just building and scribbling away. And...
Because, yeah, Sumo...
And a
Sumo
Voldemort
Gnomes-
head at the back.
You should do this! Oh, okay.
Because his next game, Sumo Gnomes, is on its way. The Kickstarter's been and gone now.
Yeah.
Again,
We played that last year, it was good.
Yeah, we played it at the UK Game Expo, and a lot of it is, again, made by him. Or the
Yeah.
designs come from him, like from... I think he pressed his own dice and things like that for it.
Yeah, for one of the demo copies, he said, I saw, I think it was on Twitter actually,
Ooh, yeah.
he put that he handmade all the dice.
Yeah.
Which, man, that's dedication. I mean, there was a load, I can't remember the number at the end, but it was a lot of dice that he pressed. So
I like the big version of...
the tree trunk one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that when we play. That's the one he had on demo, and we played that, and I was like, I wouldn't want the smaller one, which I understand as a travel game, it'd be great.
Yeah.
But I like the aesthetic.
He
of the
is,
big
to be
version.
fair, the big version is coming out, so that's good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I've got my eyes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Me.
Darryl.
So, my top 10 is at Villagers.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so after after quite a lengthy run through of the rules, because it is initially kind of confusing, we've had some really good times with it.
Yeah,
like, it's been
definitely.
really you played the single player mode, didn't you?
I did try the single
Yeah.
player, which wasn't
It's not as good.
great, but I, to be honest, I feel like that would be better judged by someone that really enjoys solo games.
Yeah, which is weird because I like the fact they've got that option, but at the same time, I got it as a group thing anyway. So it's just fun. Once you get used to the rules, it's actually really simple. Once you get used to the sort of like phases of the market round and the road and like the building phase, it works really well. I love the fact that you can kind of synergize your villages, so you can have like one ore miner and basically try and branch him off into 2 different things, which is really cool. So you have like the masonries, you've got the wood dudes, you've got the haymakers, Mr. Grapes.
Mr. Grapes.
Mr.
yes.
Grapes, Mr. Hay. That was a really good impression actually, I'm really proud of that. Yeah,
Was that
so
Andy?
that was Andy.
They're really good,
Yeah,
Andy.
that's really good. But yeah, either way, it's a really good game. Like it's nice artwork, it's really simple. The way the box is laid out, I know it's really stupid, the way the box is laid out, it's got little dividers that allow you to kind of put all the contents back exactly where you need them, so that's really nice. There wasn't, we didn't play with more than 4, so I think there was extra suits you could put into the...
There was, yeah.
Was it wool and...
I can't remember
Leather
what
and
the other
wool.
one was,
I think it was
but
leather
we
and
never
wool.
got a chance to play with more
No,
players.
which would be nice to try, but yeah, either way, it was a really good game. I don't think you came across it, did you actually? No.
So it's kind of like, at its heart, it's a set collecting game.
Pretty much,
so
yeah.
You're looking at a field of cards, and you all get to pick a card that you want to take,
Yeah.
basically, or a number of cards that you want to take, and you try and plan to specialise within areas. Like you said, with you could either be a miner, you could be a graper. I suppose it's a... God, you've got to be really careful with that, don't you?
Right? There was the woodcutter.
Rapist.
I'm pretty sure
He's French.
I'm pretty sure it actually says graper on the cards. I don't
It's
know.
Graper, yeah, Graper.
Yeah.
You got Graper.
God.
I think it's the yeah. Basically, you've got various different suits.
So childish.
Wood, wine, hay.
I'm a wooder.
I'm a wooder. Hayer.
I think they actually do say lumberjack on them, don't
Yeah,
they? Or
they do,
something
they
like
do,
that.
they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice because you can mix and match. Like the way that the cards work, sometimes they have little special abilities. Like there's a really cool concept with like keys, which is nice. Certain cards unlock other cards.
Yes.
Which is really useful when, say, like Iain's got the blacksmith, and the blacksmith I think had like 10 keys or something like that.
Something like that.
So he
yeah.
essentially unlocks 10 different other cards. And the way that was really interesting about it was, if he had it, I had to pay him. If I had it, someone else has to pay me. And then there was the one where you can either pay the bank or choose which one. If everyone had one, you choose what you want to do. And it was a really nice way, because you could kind of go, well, I'm just going to pay the bank, I'm not letting him have the money.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it works out really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of the times you are thinking about what roles do you want to buy early, because then you know that people are going to have to pay you in order to do certain things, or...
It's very useful, the fact that most information's on the cards. Like, if you know, when you know how many keys are on one person, you know that they unlock that amount of cards. So potentially, if you get that card early on, you know you're going to be getting a bit of coin, which is kind of useful at first. So, yeah, points.
Okay. Should we move on to number 9?
Yeah.
Number 9!
9!
Nine!
It's a very thematic...
Okay, so my number 9 is Treasure Island.
Ooh.
I thought that might be
A Matco game. Yeah. It's so unique. There's really the only other games I can think of that even try to replicate what Treasure Island have tried to replicate is, I think it was called Looney Quest, which was very much a child's game where you got to draw on things, and it was all done on neoprene sheets. Essentially, Treasure Island is a game where one person takes the role of Long John Silver, or was it Blackbeard? I forget. It's a notorious pirate,
in it like twice.
and the idea is that you're in jail.
You know you're
at the
supposed to
beginning.
interrupt if you put it later down the list.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out. I had it on there, but I put root in 2 places.
Oh God! Okay.
And it was definitely meant to be in there. 1, 2, 3. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6. That's 7. That's 8. That's 10. Okay, yeah. Okay, I have Treasure Island as well.
Okay, so I'll just quickly explain what Treasure Island is,
He's going to do a better job than I am, to be fair.
and then we'll stop at that.
Hold on, I need to edit this.
Treasure Island is a game where one person takes on
damn it,
the
it's really
role of Long John Silver.
Was that even out this year?
What's
Which one?
that?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
The idea that Darryl completely fucked his list. That's wrong.
There we go, it's back as it was. There we go.
Okay. So, yeah, Treasure Island is basically one person takes on the role of... I've forgotten, was it Blackbeard or Long John Silver? I've forgotten, actually.
It's Long John.
It's Long John. So
Long John!
one person takes on the role of that. They're kind of controlling the game, and everyone else is trying to find their treasure whilst they're in jail, except Long John is going to escape from jail in 17 days, I think it
Yeah.
was. And basically, it's a game where everyone's got pens and are just drawing all over this map. It's really unique.
It's really good fun.
Yes, it is
It's,
really
it's
good
something
fun.
there's something really, really fun about... I don't want to say, like, just marking things on an actual physical board. I mean, they don't stay on there, obviously, they dry wipe off, but
Yeah.
it's just really good fun that you're, like, actually measuring out circles and using the little compass thing and trying to do paces. I love that. I love the fact that it's quite detailed in its ways.
Yeah. Anyway,
We'll get back
more
to
on that later. So,
Stay tuned.
Daryl, you're number 9.
My number 9 is Quacks of Quedlingburg.
Which is later on my list.
So,
Okay, so we'll briefly outline it.
Quacks of Quedlingburg is a potion making game. That's what I'm going to say, actually.
It's a push your luck
Yeah.
making game. And
Pretty much, yeah.
We'll indulge more in that later.
I've got Team 3 as my next
I've
one.
got that.
I also have that.
So what's interesting is where you've got...
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Opposites. I'm gonna give you a little sneak preview here. Most of mine are dexterity games this year. Last year.
Yeah.
I had a real dexterity hype last year. So,
To be honest, there's been loads of really good
which is really
dexterity
good.
games.
Did you want to have a little brief go on Team 3?
Team 3 is a game where 3 people take on different roles. One is basically the ears, one is the hands, and one is the eyes.
We played it at the Games Expo.
We
didn't
did, yeah.
Which who was the guy that suggested it was really good to play?
John Perkis of Actual LOL
Yeah.
fame.
So he said about it, and we were like, "Oh, let's go try it." We did. We tried it. We initially fumbled because we realised we weren't in the right
We're all in
team.
completely wrong roles.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we swapped roles and succeeded.
It was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you figure out your role, I mean, that's the good part about it. I think it's fun to try and explore each role.
Yeah.
And see where your benefits are. I mean, we worked out that I was really good at making things.
You were good at listening to instructions and doing as you were told.
Yeah, but rather than actually...
With no eyes.
Yeah, rather than actually giving the directions to you, who had to then...
I think you
No,
were...
I was the when we did well, I was the interpreter. So whoever was doing the miming, I was then telling.
So who was the first time round
Actually,
though,
no.
the one where we did it bad?
No,
No, that was the first time.
you-
I was the mimer.
And I
second
told
time round.
Darryl what to do,
Yes, yeah.
and you did it.
But anyway,
Right.
we'll go into
Either
that
way.
more
What was the one we did when we were
later.
bad? It was just the other way around, I think. I was doing the shapes, and Stephen
I
was
was
the one
blind, and you guys were just
fumbling.
saying
Just the
garbage
thing!
at me.
The
and I was
yellow
like,
thing! I can't see.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, the green one looks like an L. I'm like,
My eyes are closed.
So, We're rattling through
8.
this quite quickly, so yes, number 8.
I think the problem is because we've all got stuff on there that we can't talk about till later.
Yes.
That's going to change right now because my number 8 is Deep Blue.
Oh!
And I'm going to say it's controversially Deep Blue because unfortunately I've not had room to put Quacks of Quedlinburg on my list, which is kind of surprised me a bit. But I have my reasons, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I prefer Deep Blue to Quacks of Quedlinburg. And I think it's simply because the amount of chaos in Deep Blue, it's kind of like Push Your Luck squared. So,
Okay.
so whereas in Quacks of Quedlinburg, where the Push Your Luck element is you're drawing chips out of a bag and seeing how far you can go before your potion explodes, more on that later.
Love that.
In Deep Blue, not only are you pushing your luck because you have to move to dive sites and then you have to prepare for the dive. Do you want to take more time preparing for a successful dive when you're at the spot? Or do you want to just initiate the dive?
Hurl a bloke in, no notice.
Yep, because you can only dive in... Each location can only be dived once per game. That's not by per player. It can only be dived once per game. But everyone that's currently on that space gets to participate in the dive. However, the only person who can go into the bag and say when you stop whilst pulling items out of the bag is the person who initiates the dive.
Oh, okay.
So you're kind of pushing your luck twice with this. It makes it far more chaotic than Quacks of Quedlinburg. And I don't think it's for everyone. And I think that's evident in the fact that I know that Quacks of Quedlinburg is a far more popular game. I can see why it's a far more popular game, but I just prefer Deep Blue. And it's really as simple as that. We had a great time when we played it, because the card system in it actually is very similar to El Dorado.
Okay.
In that you have a tableau of cards, you buy them. When one card is bought from the tableau, a new one is brought out. They do things like they allow you to avoid hazards when a dive happens, or allows you to carry extra oxygen tanks so you can last longer in the dive.
You do that.
Could do that, yeah.
So, as well as gaining you extra loot if you were to dive as well. So it makes you, I suppose it makes you more perceptive to potential treasures that you could find during the dive if you play certain cards as well. So you have this card playing element as well after you initially start diving, which can help basically mitigate the various trials and tribulations of making the dive when someone else is in control.
Sounds like the game we would have wanted to play as well.
Sounds like a game I'd want to play with Sean.
I did play with Sean. and this is the thing, is not only are you waiting for the dives and stuff like that, but if you're the person that's initiating the dive, you might move to a dive location, not prepare at all, and deliberately initiate the dive at the soonest possible moment so that you can just pick, say, a couple of tokens out the bag and then go, yeah, I'm stopping, and just completely screw them over. And I think that's the name of the game here. It's very much how much can you annoy your friends kind of a game, which I'm not normally a fan of, but this one
you love.
Really, I really took to. But yeah, that's my number 8, Deep Blue.
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay, I don't think anyone else is going to have this. I have, for number 8, Fro Burrito. So, it's not the newest game from the Exploding Kittens team, actually. There was another one on a scale of 1 to T-Rex, which I haven't actually yet played. But Fro Burrito essentially is dodgeball with cards and using squishy foam burritos. So, the thing I really love about this is obviously the fact that you're playing cards in a group. So the way it works, you have like 2 draw piles, and then essentially however many people are on the play, like say 4, you've all got your own little kind of card deck. And what's really fun about it is you're essentially just trying to make triples. So you are just passing cards that you don't want of your hands of 6 and just throwing them anywhere you want to the left of you. So essentially your draw pile is getting thrown in from every other person. So essentially, rather than having a neat little pile you can pick up and have a look at, it just becomes absolutely chaotic. So you've got like sort of 15, 20 cards just scattered across here. You pick them up, you go, I don't want that one, pick them up, I don't want to. So once you get triples, that's points. When you get triples of Burrito Brawl, War and Duel, that allows you then trigger the foam throwing carnage. Now the thing about this is really fun. You've got the all-out war, so you literally just go burrito ball, and just see who can grab one quickly and launch it at someone. But my favourite one is duel. Duel is essentially how it is. You pick up the foam, you back to back, you take 3 paces, you turn around, and you launch it as hard as possible. So I played this a couple of times. I played it at Christmas, played it during the summer when it came out. Some highlights were my next door neighbour absolutely has like homing missile seeking hands for the crotch. Like her husband, me, were on the floor crying. She just launched. They are foam. They are trauma safe foam. But I promise you now, that gets hit in your nuts, you're going down.
Can I be perfectly honest here? Most things when they hit you in the nuts.
Oh my god! It was just like, oh, it's trauma safe foam, so it doesn't do any serious damage. I'm there, like, like her husband's just like, oh, I'm so glad I had a vasectomy.
Can I go back to the phrase that she has crotch-seeking hands?
Yeah, like they just.
Okay.
Yeah, right, okay. Anyway, it ended with me launching it as hard as possible into her throat and knocking her over. So it's a very war-orientated game. I played it again about Christmas time with a load of drunk people. That was really fun. So it's a party game. There's not relatively any skill to it other than throwing the burrito at someone.
It's very much a make sure all valuables are out of the playroom kind of game.
That's the only thing I will say. I mean, the first time we played outside, which is not designed to, and the second time we played it inside, and there was a lot of glass. Nothing
I'd like
happened.
to play it with a cricket ball.
No. Bam! Bam!
Really up the stakes.
Yeah, alright, yeah. And we're not going to use cards, we're going to use razor blades. And at the end we'll go for burritos. Yeah, it's a great game, it's really, really cheap. I had the Kickstarter edition, but to be fair, I think the Kickstarter edition came out quite early. And then the retail one only came out maybe a month after. I think they did it really, really quick succession. They already had it ready to go, basically. Okay. So it is available now. It's been available since, I believe, September. Mm-hmm. So it's worth a go if you like something that's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Iain, your number 8.
My number 8 is Galactic Scoundrels.
Ooh.
Ooh, wow, we forgot about this one.
Which is different. I imagined it would be different to what you guys had.
Yeah.
Galactic Scoundrels is a turn-based card game, sort of push your luck in a way, because you sort of bet on what missions you want to do.
Like the RPG element.
It's kind of a storytelling game, isn't it?
That was nice about that.
There's basically 3 phases in which you do basically heists or jobs in order to complete them, and you might have to call on. So you basically pay to take a job.
You gamble, don't you?
You gamble to take a job, yeah. And then when you go through the job, you might have to call other people for help. They are the people that will be trying to stop you from completing the job, or you can pay them off with like maybe half the loot to complete it. But it tells a story as you go. So we had
the prime rib of
minister.
Galactic
Malaysia.
God,
the prime rib minister.
The prime rib minister of Galactic Malaysia.
Yeah.
He went on throughout every single story.
He did.
The initial mission was to rescue him, and then it was to sell him into slavery.
No, I thought there was a
something.
guard mission where it was kind of like we had
Someone
to
trying to
guard
assassinate
him.
him.
Vegans. Vegans ironically trying to kill the prime rib minister. It's just weird.
I don't know. Did we decide he was made of
I think he
prime
was made
rib,
of prime
it was
rib.
a space
or
galactic
does he just
rib.
like hoard prime ribs?
I think he is made of
giant
prime.
rib.
I imagined him as a set of ribs with eyes.
Didn't we have to like? Wasn't there a thing where he went bad?
Yes,
Yeah.
I swear the
He
last
betrayed-
one he
betrayed
went
us,
bad,
yeah.
and then we had to
Yeah.
then basically get rid of him.
I had to hunt down the prime rib minister.
Yeah, it was a really. See, this was the fun part because obviously where it gave you the freedom to make your own stories, and we're absolute nutcases as you can tell. It was really fun to make up this ridiculous story about a space galactic rib. That's the Prime Minister of Malaysia.
I kind of always imagined him as kind of like a fast food baron, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I think that was the thing. He was made of prime ribs, but he like sells his children into like it's weird. Well, you can like buy your own ships, and they give you buffs for missions and things. But it's an interesting card game. It's sort of push your luck, sort of storytelling. But I really enjoyed it.
The bribery aspects were cool.
It's
as
very
well.
much my sort of thing. The sort of I'm Han Solo style galactic scoundrel
Yeah.
thing.
I think the only one negative we had about it was it wasn't long enough.
Yeah,
didn't we?
so this is a
Yeah.
complaint I had about it, and it's why it's not higher on the list. So there's 3 phases. The first phase is sort of very little risk, but very little reward. And as you go through the phases, the reward gets higher. So basically, whoever wins the third phase tends to win the game. But it's about planning so that you've got the equipment to win that third phase in the first 2 phases.
I think our first game of it, we did play it wrong, and
Yeah.
there's a few things that I think one of the reasons we never reviewed it was simply because we didn't get a chance to play it with the proper rules again, correcting our mistakes and stuff like that. But
I think something that we found as a negative for it was you spend all this time building up a ship, building up a crew to
yeah,
do that last mission,
which didn't last very long.
which is very quick, and then that's it.
yeah,
And it feels like it could do with a phase 4 and a phase 5 to really. It's a good quick game.
Yeah.
But I would like it to be a good
Slightly
medium
longer
length game.
Yeah.
yeah. So perhaps house ruling it to
Yeah.
incorporate, like you said, a phase 4 and a phase 5, and trying to flesh out that story a bit more.
That would be the perfect expansion for Galactic
Yeah.
Scoundrels. Would be have a phase 4 and 5 expansion set, which give you like really big galactic heists to do, where maybe the rewards don't get much higher, but
The
you
prep
could-
work and actually pays off.
Yeah, there's a lot more prep work to it. And I think that would make 1, 2, and 3 the sort of you build your crew, ship, and reputation phase, and then 4 and 5 are the plan for a big heist phase and the complete a gigantic, ridiculous heist phase.
Wasn't
Yeah.
it? Weren't they set out like Star Wars and like it was episode 4, 5, and 6?
It was,
Yeah,
yeah,
Something like
it
that,
was.
which was quite cool. So I wonder if there ever was a plan to do prequels or sequels, if that makes sense.
I haven't seen anything. I haven't really
I wouldn't
researched
expect
into
it.
but
It didn't
No.
seem like the sort of game where that was the plan, but it's something that I would have really liked. But the
Yeah.
game itself, I really enjoyed the mechanics of
Yeah,
and
it's a
the
nice
theme.
game.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, are we on to number 7?
We are.
we are.
Number 7. So
7.
my number 7 is those tiny, tiny towns.
Also, Little Tiny Towns.
Right now, at number
Yeah,
7.
yeah.
Hey, high five. Okay,
You guys.
Tiny Towns is a game where you kind of every player has an individual grid, and you've got tiny little wooden pieces which you're going to be building your town upon. Oh, for God's sake, every single time. I'm just going to leave it off. Screw it. You can have I don't know,
Clear.
red. There you go.
Right. Oh
yeah.
no, we're in the power hour.
It's interesting because everyone has to take the same piece each time,
Yes.
and it means everyone has the same puzzle. However, depending on how you've built your town before, because you put one wooden piece in one square grid, and you're trying to build buildings that are laid out in cards at the beginning of the game, and they are modular, so it can change from game to game. And the various effects that they score at the end of the game are all different as well. So no 2 games will usually be the same. So yeah, you say like everyone takes a wood, for example. Everyone takes the wood and places it on a free square.
Yeah.
But very quickly, everyone's puzzle becomes different and unique depending on what they've aimed to build first. Because
Yeah.
then they're puzzling around that. So
You end up, so say you get a brick, a glass, and a wood, and you place it in the right shape and change that out for a building, which takes the space.
yes,
But the person before you might have been trying to build a different building, and they might ask for brick, and you end up placing a spare brick on the tile out the way because you're trying to build a different building and you're so close and you don't want to ruin it, and you've got a game plan in mind, like you want a certain set of buildings to get a certain buff, and it means if other people can sort of screw you over.
yeah. Well, this is the thing is, at first it very much feels like a game where everyone's involved in their own little puzzle, but
Yeah, it
you're
very
kind of
quickly
keeping an eye on
becomes
other
that-
people's play
got
state.
to a point in when we played it last that I looked at the next 2 people, and I thought I can't build anything because of the way I've got things set. So I need to pick something because we were very close to finishing the board.
Yeah.
If I pick something now that they can't really place and build anything, it's going to minimise their points.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's funny is some of the scores at the end of the game. Sometimes you can score huge amounts of points in it. Like, I think out of all the games I've played, I've generally always managed to score well. And then I had one game where I scored -3 at the end of it. And it just happens every now and again. And when someone does not even manage to get 0 points, it's really, really funny. So, and I think it always does.
It's not such a serious game as well that someone would take that to heart.
No, it's quick enough that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy it. Like if you were playing,
you've not spent 3 hours to be told that you're a piece of, you're rubbish, and this game has screwed you, and you've wasted 3 hours of your time.
Yeah.
You've played it for 10 minutes, and you've gone, oh god, I was rubbish that time.
Yeah.
Next time you'll be fine.
Exactly. So that's both our number 7s.
7.
Darryl.
In at number 7, I'm going for Warcry.
Game neither of us can really comment on.
This is...
You kind of can.
I can comment on the models because I have got some of them because I've chopped them up for some different bits of work.
For your own purposes.
My own sinister things I want to do.
This one's got an arm with a crow on it.
Steve's got the perfect head.
I need you for the collection. So all Frankenstein references aside, it's, for me, having played like standard 40k, whatever the stuff I played, the Lord of the Rings game, the miniatures games, Kill Team, like basically all the Warhammer stuff, right? It's nice to find something that's different and quick to play. So I know they've been adding expansions to it, and it's got a bit more. It's got longer now. There's more campaigns. You can buy bigger stuff. But the initial starting period was essentially you just had a box of like 7 or 10 miniatures, I think it was.
Yeah.
Done. All right. The rule books and some scenery if you don't need scenery either way. And essentially, it's just most of the games last for 3 rounds, and there's
my only issue, and I'm going to say a negative because it's the only thing I've had with it, and it's a recent GW thing, is that when you look at the sprues, you are encouraged to build a set model.
Oh yeah, there are no.
So there's no conversion choices, there's no weapon difference choices. You can't.
Is it the push to fit models? Or
No.
They're proper models, but they're designed so each model has its own pose. It's not like the torsos and their heads and stuff are interchangeable. They're designed to have a certain set of arms and a certain set of
So all the figures
weapons.
essentially are the same. Doesn't really matter.
Anyone who collects, say, the Iron Golems has the same set of Iron Golems with the same weapon choices, and Necromunda does this in the correct way, where it allows you to sort of fiddle and fluff around with your builds and your layouts. And GW are going towards this thing recently where things are more set in the way their poses are, and I think it started with Necromunda, but it's getting into their normal model range. And
sure.
I know the Chaos Space Marine set that I bought recently, I complained that if I bought 2 sets, they would look very, very similar. And I did a lot of work in cutting bits off and giving them different arms and legs. And I think as primarily a model builder, painter and shower offer,
I thought you were going painter and decorator then for some reason.
that would irritate me. And when I do get my Warcry set, there'll be the Spire Tyrant, and you'll be finding that they're different to what they look like in the box, because I will not be able to put up with that.
Though your ones do. Okay, so from my point of view, it was a real quick game to build into, because essentially all I had to do was build the figures, which wasn't a lot, paint them, which took no time at all. So in terms of sort of...
Yeah, it's the way to look at it is maybe target audience. So I'm quite serious in the way I sort of kit bash, convert, green stuff, mess around and fiddle with models. Darryl is probably
Not as
more
fussed.
Casual, but quite into playing the games.
Yeah.
So where I spent about 4 hours yesterday building 3 models, and it was because I was using 5 different sets and cutting different parts out of different pieces to make a cool looking Venator team for Necromunda. And I'm willing to do that, but obviously when you make it less convertible, you reduce the amount of adaptability these model sets have, and that's a negative for me, but perhaps not a fair reflection of how the game plays.
No, so in terms of the actual models aside, the gameplay itself is completely different anyway. So there's none of this rolling. So essentially what you do is you start off by rolling off your dice to see who gets priority, and then you roll 6 of your dice and then use them as your doubles basically stack up, so you can use them as abilities. So that's quite a nice feature. There's none of this kind of, activating them all as a unit, or activating this, then activating that. So it goes back and forth, back and forth. So you pick, I will activate that guy, and then say Stephen would activate the next guy, and then I'd activate that guy. And you get 2 actions with each, and there's some options to do special abilities which you use the dice for, which you've banked. There's like a wild dice which you kind of carry on for each round, so at the end you can essentially be turning that into any dice you want and be rolling like a really tough kind of 4 power or something. The thing I quite like about it, there are small little tactics. So I would do one action, I would then pause, not do my other action, and as a reaction would wait to see what would happen. So say you were to then move closer to me, I would then use my second action to charge you, which is kind of nice.
It's a little similar to Infinity.
It
isn't
is, yeah, which is really weird because Stephen's only just recently showed me Infinity, and I've noticed there's a few things that Warcry, which I thought were really new and inventive, they seem to have kind of taken from other miniatures games. It's not a complaint, it's just that I assumed it was new. But the one thing I do like about it, and it does make it a much quicker game, and for that it's a nice thing, is there's no defense dice. So there's no, with normal 40k you're rolling 20 dice, then 4 hit. Okay, so then you roll this, and does it go for defense? Does it do that?
You can tell you play orcs.
Yeah,
you roll 20 dice and only 4 hit.
No. To be fair, off topic, the other day I absolutely smashed Matt. All dice were hitting, and he was getting so upset and so salty.
6s.
Pretty much, and it was 6s, then it was double decker, and he was just like, oh. Anyway, basically with this, it's just you don't need to. You just roll your dice. Does it hit? Yes, it hits. Okay, cool. What's your defense? That's it. It's through. So there's none of that kind of dodging and defending, and most characters have like 12 to 15 wounds, so they're heroed characters. So it's not a case of bam, one, you're done. It's they're going on and they're carrying on and they've got a mission to do. So
it's like it's a long, drawn-out gladiatorial fight rather
pretty
than
much, yeah,
a soldier going up and spearing someone in the chest and it just being over.
Yeah.
It's like an individual brawl between two
because
people.
Because each character's also
dodging and ducking.
Yeah, so each character is its own character, so they're all going to have their own different stats, and that's kind of nice that the beefier people are real beefcakes, but they might be slower, and they are. There's very little range in the weapons and armies, so most armies maybe have one ranged unit, maybe, and even then they're not like super overpowered, so it's just like, it's just nice, it's really good, and where they only last for 3 rounds, essentially, it can come down to a few, honestly, like bullshitty results.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I would recommend it if it's for people that are casual gamers that don't necessarily want to be collecting huge armies and spending loads on stuff. It's just, we only bought the book and one set of models and we were done. So, you know.
The model quality is very nice.
They have
that code goes without
yeah,
saying, though,
yeah.
doesn't it, with
Really
Games
nice.
Workshop? But
They've got
Like, the fact that I'm going
sculpts are great.
out of my way to look on eBay for parts of models that I think I could use in conversions and things says a lot.
Mm.
yeah. Okay, number 6.
Number 6.
Number 6.
Ew.
For me is Mega City Oceania.
I have that somewhere.
I have that somewhere.
Okay, then we will delay this until later, but essentially it is a dexterity game where you're building buildings and then moving them into a city. Okay,
I have Root.
we will wait en route,
Okay. Hey!
because, yep, I have that later in my list.
I have Dead Man's Cable, according to my...
Your
all shows you, all about shows you watch in the
Oh no,
afterlife.
it does say Dead Man's Cabal, I did correct it.
Okay.
Initially it said Dead Man's Cable, and I was like, oh.
Would I watch this?
Okay,
No one else got it?
I have not.
I wanted to, but I
Dead
didn't.
Man's Cabal is like a card game where you are trying to initiate a party of the undead,
Yes.
and I think for me it has similarities to stuff like Gugong,
Mhm.
but I think the theme drives it for me in a way that I prefer this to Gugong. So
It's-
I found Gugong boring
Right.
in that I wasn't really invested in what was going on, or didn't particularly care about any particular thing that was happening.
Was that the one where you're doing the boat game?
And I found
Yeah,
myself
that is,
just
yeah.
messing around with boats for an hour and a half, which I enjoyed but didn't really get me anywhere in the game. And while I was looking at other bits, I think the other guys had a better grasp on it, and by the time I got the hang of the game, I was so far behind that I wasn't fussed.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a bit unfair on Gugong, But when it came to Dead Man's Cabal, it felt easy enough to pick up and understand that I could get straight into the game without any sort of downside.
So, in terms of the Gugong comparison, firstly, I would say Dead Man's Cabal is a very short game.
Yes.
It lasts like half an hour to an hour, whereas Gugong is very much a long haul kind of a game. It's
I
a
don't
lot
think that's a
longer.
bad thing though with Dead Man's Cabal.
I don't think it's bad
No,
either
and
way,
I
if
think
I'm honest
this
with you.
is possibly why I preferred it, because the way it's set out means you can get into it quicker because the game is quicker, whereas Gugong, you're going into it for the long haul, but maybe after half an hour, if you haven't been doing things right, that last hour is going to be a painful one because you've not planned correctly and you're sat there watching everyone else succeed.
I will
There's not
say,
much you can do about that.
I will say as well, Gugong. There's kind of similarities there, but Dead Man's Cabal almost feels more like what a lot of people would call a point salad kind of game, whereas Gugong feels more worker placement-y. In Dead Man's Cabal, the idea is you get a private action and a public action. So you take a private action, which it actually doesn't necessarily score you points all the time when you place something on the board, but sometimes it gains you the resources to be able to get points later. And then you do a public action. And the really cool thing that I really like about Dead Man's Cabal is I really like how you have to sum up which one's going to benefit me more as a private action and which one do I not care about everyone else taking as a public action.
Plenty of times when we played it where I was taking my private action as something that would benefit you and my public action as something that would just kind of be okay for you, but you would have preferred to be part of the other action.
So there was
to try and deny you the extra resources.
Yeah, there was one board, because there are like separate boards on Dead Man's Cabal. They all do different things. Usually they all provide a different action you can do. And the very central one is kind of where you actually do your summoning. And you kind of always like that to be a public action, simply because at times you want more skulls on that, so that then you can then summon more people on your turn. So that was a good one to do as a public action. But at the same time, sometimes you look at other people and say, well, they're probably going to be able to summon quite a lot this time.
If I put down my skulls.
So I would actually rather have that as a private action this time. And
I think the time we played, or the last time we played, we found ourselves, me and you, competing directly while Sean sat there and collected all the currency.
Yes, yeah.
In order to try and stop us from playing properly.
It's funny.
But there was so many of it that he'd hoarded all these bones, and me and you were completely unaffected. We just carried on as normal. And by the end of the game, he pretty much had maybe 4/5 of all the bones on the field. But we've been using ours, spending them, recollecting them, and just recycling them as we went.
Yeah.
You just sat there with this huge pile of bones, like, no, that didn't go the way I wanted.
I think one of the other things I actually want to point out about Dead Man's Cabal, because honestly, Dead Man's Cabal is one of those games which I really had to think about whether I wanted to put them in my top 10 or not, and sadly it came short. But I love the guerrilla style artwork on the cards as well.
So good. So part of the theme that I really enjoyed is that it's kind of silly. Like the idea is you are making a party, not like a hunting party or a D&D party. It's a party, and it's all these dead people. So there's like deceased dogs, with, like bow ties and stuff.
There's an astronaut.
There's an astronaut. Yeah, and it's great. I really love the artwork. The way the game looks is great. The way the game plays is great. And
you've got that
I enjoyed
interesting
it a
thing
lot.
as well with the like the symbols as well on the cards, which add to like. So there is like a kind of
It's like runes.
Yeah, you get this kind of added element that you were doing it a few times, where taking certain actions in the room that necessarily doesn't seem like it does much later on in the end game gives you those extra bonuses.
It does. Like a lot of your point scoring at the end of the game involves taking runes, being able to summon. When you do your summoning in the center circle, if you've got runes on them, you can then take bonuses at the end of the game,
which is
will
really
give you a
good.
big point kind of like bonus at the end of it. So they become massively
That's
important.
where Sean was doing quite well, because he had loads of runes in a line, didn't he? And he spent a lot of time trying to deny me from doing the same thing. So it's interesting, because it's again similar to Sacred Gong. There's different avenues you can go down to get your points. And I got most of mine from summoning the most.
Yes.
And Sean got most of his from connecting all the runes.
Yeah. Okay. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
So we are moving to number 5, and my number 5 is Escape Plan, which at the moment is not even released at retail. In fact, I don't know whether it will be released at retail, but I know it definitely got its Kickstarter release this year. Escape Plan is kind of Reservoir Dogs, the board game.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
it's about bank robbery, but the bank robbery has already happened. What's now happened is the police have discovered who's behind the robbery and where they are. So you're all now splitting up, and you're trying to gather as much money from around the city before escaping the board. One of the things I really want to point out is this may be, in my opinion, the best looking game of 2019. I think Iain O'Toole, and I've heard a lot of people saying this, Iain O'Toole is the best board game artist on the market right now.
I think as a game, aesthetically, it's brilliant. It looks fantastic. The art style's great. Long setup though.
Oh god, the setup,
Incredible long setup.
the setup is horrific.
It
However,
almost didn't fit on here, did it?
yeah, nearly. I think we all had to have our player boards on the wooden surround because
I put mine on little dips we've got.
everything else just took up the entire table on here. I also think it's one of the best gameplay to theme kind of.
It worked really well.
Like, for example, if you can put heat on yourself, and there are advantages and disadvantages to that. So if the heat's on you, it means you get to go first, because it's kind of like, it's almost simulating that sense of urgency. You get to move places first, because one of the things you do want is to launder as much money from as many places before everyone else, because I think you can only visit each location that can give you money 3 times over the course of the game.
That's for all players, yeah.
All players, and then that location shuts down, the money is drained and it's gone, and you get bonuses at the end of the game for completing sets of buildings. So in other words, you want to visit all 3 of the purple buildings, for example, and then you get a nice little bonus at the end of it. Also, you have
You've got keys
personal
as well.
Yeah, so you have personal things. So everyone has a different card saying what locations go where, and in fact that's where it states what your bonus points at the end of the game is. However, your heat also is going to provide you a massive point deduction at the end of the game as well. So you really want to try and put heat on yourself at the beginning so that you're rushed, you can go to places before everyone else, and then you want to lose it towards the end of the game, or you'll suffer a big penalty at the end of it. You can also take advantage of biker gangs and things like that to take heat off you. The people with heat on them as well, other players are then allowed to push police in your direction, which again thematically is spot on.
It's like calling and saying, "Oh, I've spotted this person here."
Yeah, exactly. And there's again, the length of the game is a problem if you're playing with people that just don't connect with the game. In fact, the person that actually won our game of Escape Plan kind of said, well, I didn't really know what I was doing throughout most of it. I just kind of like did stuff and I won the game, which is kind of a bit of a letdown, really. But
that was impressive nonetheless.
But at the same time, I felt like I did know what was happening. I was very much able to follow everything that was going on, and I really enjoyed this.
So I'd say the same. I kept track of what I was doing. I had a set plan in my head. I pushed my luck a little bit at the end, but got out just in time, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I came like 3rd in the end.
I think you came 2nd.
Okay.
Mike won the game. You came 2nd. I came 3rd.
Okay, yeah, but like who stayed on for ages in?
I think it was you, wasn't it, Darryl? You were the last one out of the city.
No, I got out before one more person. I thought
someone else.
It might have been Matt, maybe, because the whole idea is there are 3 exit points in the city as well, and 2 of them are going to get shut down before the end of the game. So you can't just hover around one exit and then just get out, because they will be closing. And when one exit is left, everyone has to make a break for that exit. And it gets more and more expensive the later you leave it. So there's even elements of push your luck in there towards getting out of the city. Do you stay for as many rounds as possible and
I
pick
think-
things up with the danger of being locked in and losing the game because you don't get to enter the final scoring if you get caught.
What I
Or get out.
decided was so there's an exit at the bottom of the map, one at the top and one sort of top right.
Yeah,
And I stayed at the bottom of the map thinking if that exit opens up I can leave, and if not there's a river that you can use for transport. You can
Yeah.
use it to get on like a boat basically and go across. And I thought I can either wait by this one, and then if not I can get on the boat and I'll go to that one. And if it's the other one, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
And that's fine, I'm on board with that. I pushed my luck, it's a 2-to-1 chance.
yeah, but I love this game.
Yeah, it's good.
And that's
I
it.
think the only reason it's not on my list is because games that can be that long and that difficult to set up, I don't have as much time to play, and
Yeah.
that's not anything against the way it plays or how it looks. I think it's excellent. I don't have a lot of time.
Sure. And it is an issue. It is something that people want to know about when they're going to select a game. How long does it take to set up? How long does it play? Because not everyone has the time to play a 3-hour game.
Yeah.
No, which
You know?
is that's the problem. Sometimes it's just quick games.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we
Darryl.
on number 5 still?
We are on number 5.
Okay, Mega City Oceania.
Yeah, I've got that. No, I got that.
For
I've got
5?
that.
Right
No,
now?
No.
Okay,
Oh.
so we'll,
God, we gotta wait till you're done.
we'll delay that.
Good game.
Ian,
Dice Throne.
Ooh.
nice. Again, another one I had to consider.
Dice Throne can consider itself the only game where I don't decide what goes in my deck in a card game that I enjoy. And not only that, but I enjoy it to the point where it's coming in my top 10 for the year.
Yeah.
So every other game, and this includes stuff like what's the thing with stupid ether that everyone loves that I hate.
Keyforge.
Keyforge.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely hate, which everyone seems to love. Dice Throne for me is the card game where you don't decide your deck; it's already sorted for you. That I really love. It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
They're very well made decks, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think it's got certain characters. So you've got like a commander-esque. I'm going to go ahead and say SS officer style.
Yes.
Maybe communist leader-ish character. Yeah. And then there's like a huntress with her pet lion.
There's a pirate
Yeah.
that becomes a
It's a
vampire.
Pirate that turns into like a red
Cursed
pirate
pirate,
kind
yeah,
of
There's
thing.
like a techie dwarf.
Is there a techie
Is it a
I
dwarf?
can't remember.
I think artificer.
Oh,
Is it a
oh yeah,
dwarf?
there's the artificer, there's the samurai, there's the
Yeah.
cowboy.
I can't see that.
There
one
is a
down there.
vampire and there's an angel.
Yeah.
So the idea is you have a set character that plays in a set way, and you can duel each other. I very much enjoy the sort of, I'm going to call him like the commandant or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Style
He's
character.
called the
Tactician. That's it.
Yeah.
The tactician style character where you can sort of adjust your dice and things with tactical superiority tokens which you earn throughout the course of the game. But I think the game itself is, I don't want to use the word balanced.
I would say it's really unbalanced, but that
Yeah.
kind of makes it fun.
This is it. Whenever you play someone, it feels completely fair, but you're almost playing a completely different game with the same set of rules.
I think it's because the characters are so unique in it.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I'm just going to put out there right now is this is based on season 2 of Dice Throne. Season 1 was out in a previous year, but it kind of feels like it's only gotten really popular since season 2.
It's come into its own with all the new characters that come out with it.
Yeah, definitely. And every character does feel unique and requires a very different play
I
style.
think I've tried. I mean, you usually tend to go with a tactician, but I've always tried playing a different character just to see what they're like.
Yeah,
I've
I
tried
played the tactician a
ones.
few times. I'm sure I tried someone else.
The Dread Pirate is really difficult
Yeah, that one is difficult.
because it has like a kind
Who
of.
else did you try?
Artificer?
Curse.
I think it might have been the
It
Artificer.
might have been the Artificer.
I didn't enjoy the Artificer. That's
I
not
can-
to say that it doesn't have its function, but I think I'm so used to the way the tactician plays that it's...
But I think this is kind of like the point of the game. You find a character that you feel comfortable with. I think I played as the... I can't remember... I played as one of the vampire and the angel, and the person I was playing against played as the other one. It might have been against you, actually. I think you might have played as the vampire, and I
I
played
think
as
maybe,
the angel.
yeah, I think maybe you're right. I played the
And
vampire.
the angel is the one which I really did not get on with at all. Like, I
Yeah.
did not get to grips with how it played.
I think one of the cool things about it is, I played the samurai. one of the cool things that's about it is they're all interchangeable. So even if you want to play tactician, it doesn't matter what season.
Yeah,
it's
you
from.
can play the
can
Dread
pick
Pirate, you
yeah.
can play the Gunslinger, you can play the Huntress,
Which
or
is
whatever.
a really
and
cool
it's-
concept that it's not just you are stuck to those two, that one set that you've bought, which is cool. It's a cool system in a way.
I mean,
The way that the dice work, every character has its own set dice, which are different to every other character's dice, and you use your dice to cast abilities, and you've got a hand of cards that you can use to edit the dice, or edit the abilities, or even buff the abilities completely, to take them to level 1 or level 2, level 3.
Yeah, because you upgrade your gears, don't you? Eventually, you get better powers. It's kind of.
I think there's there's a nice mix in this game of push your luck and card manipulation that works together really, really well. I think you can play the game without using your cards at all if you really wanted to. It can be tough, but you can do and just play it purely as a press your luck kind of thing. Because essentially you've all got an ultimate attack, and sometimes you just roll really well and do it. Although the tactician, it's very easy to manipulate your dice.
You can manipulate your dice to get that ultimate attack, which gives you more tactical superiority, which means you can do it again. Almost once you get rolling as the tactician, it's very hard to stop you steamrolling, which my focus is usually to build tactical superiority tokens. I think that's what they're called.
Something like that,
and then you can use one of those to re-roll a dice. So say you're close to getting your ulti, you can be like, I'm going to spend one of those and re-roll that.
Yeah.
And just try and push to try and get it. Yeah, I think it's a
really
great
nice game. Should we move on to number 4?
Number 4.
My number 4 is Team 3.
I'd like to stop you there, sir.
Okay, we've already briefly covered Team 3 as well, so we'll just move straight on to your number 4. I will say I'm really upset that I couldn't justify putting this at number 3 for Team 3, but there we go.
I have Treasure Island.
Okay, I'm guessing we're talking
I don't
about
have
this
Treasure
one?
Island.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this a bit more.
I think we've only played it. I've only played it twice, but as Steve was saying earlier, the fact that it's quite unique, with the whole having a map, having one character against everyone else, sort of planning out. You've got your own little secret screens. You've got your own little mini maps. Trying to figure out where the treasure could be. You've got to draw it with the rulers. You've got the compasses. You've got the bigger compasses for searches. Stuff like that is really, really fun. So the first time we played, I think, was at the start of the year. And you were Long John.
Yes.
Against, I think there was about 4 of us, wasn't there? 3 of us?
I think we had a full table of people playing.
So it doesn't really affect it, even if there is less people. Because when we played it the last time, it was you two. You and
me
Andy, and I played Long John.
With some questionable
dirty pirate tactics. Dirty pirate tactics.
Flat out breaking the rules. or flat out not understanding the rules.
No, what it was
You've moved further away from the treasure. No, I haven't! What?
So basically, I mistook the 2 of them and then wasn't really paying attention. I lost track at one point, and I was like, oh, you've moved further away, and he's moved closer. And they were like, I can't have done! And then I realised, no, you haven't. I'm telling the truth. And then revealed a truth token. They were like, ah!
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
But anyway, basically, I think it's nice to play from both sides of the game, because it's interesting to see how it's actually really hard as Long John to try and trick people, because where you've got this you've got the 17 days of moving around, and they give you these little truth tokens, and you can sort of lie, but where you've got to reveal certain things, and the cards you're dealt with, like your hand and stuff, some of them are so helpful to the enemy that you don't want to play them, because you go, oh, tell one person how close they are, or where they came close to the treasure. You're like, well, I can't play that. Then another one is, give someone a token that shows them where one coordinate is not the thingy, and you're like, right, okay, so basically, as Long John, weirdly, you are trying to help them, but also mislead them. So it's trying to balance where you give them information that's going to benefit them, and when information is going to completely confuse them.
So one of the things I do want to say is, when you've got those truth and lie tokens, the thing I love is there are only 2 lie tokens in the game altogether. And the thing is, they're not necessarily a lie, it's you might be lying.
Which is even better, because again, it's confusing you even more, because you can you can look, but only one person can look at them sometimes. So Stephen could have the information and say Iain wouldn't know it, but Stephen would know that potentially it might be a lie, but it might not. And that's the thing, it's still not very helpful for you.
I think what else is kind of good is, although it's framed as a 1v all game, the all are still competing with one another to get to the treasure first. So you may not want... Well, in fact, you're not meant to share your information with one another. However, towards the end of the game, when it starts looking like Long John is about to escape from prison, people might start throwing hints at people like, you might not want to move there. And there's still those seeds of, are they saying that because they want to move me away from the treasure, or because you're not allowed to directly say what you know and what you don't?
Like watching Leeds play football. Like, they might be playing someone that you don't want to win, but you'd rather Leeds not win.
Sort of like that, yeah.
All in all, I would say it's not too difficult a game to learn either.
No, I don't think so.
There's a few things where like rules clarifications where I obviously fumbled.
I kind of feel like you can't throw someone who hasn't played the game before into the role of Long John.
No.
Because it's a game about secret information and things like that. The person playing Long John has to kind of know the game.
Otherwise they're asking, like, can I do this? And it makes it obvious.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
But yeah, it's oddly satisfying drawing on the board as well. I think that's my main pull from this. I mean, we've played other games where you can draw on stuff and do little things with dry work markers and stuff like that. That's nice, but it's just nice having a board where you've got like thousands of circles and lines and different things, and it just becomes ridiculous towards the end because you're still like following your own line and tracing your line, and you're writing it on your little board. And it's good fun.
Think the absolute biggest criticism I could throw at this game is the fact that the pens, not all of the colours show up on the board,
I know.
And that is probably the biggest downside of the game. What? Sorry, I misunderstood you.
Well, no, apparently you asked for a list of video games notable for negative reception.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, there's a guest segment there.
Mr. Negative Nancy over here. Okay. Number 4, Iain.
1, 2, 3.
Wait, did you do your 4?
Men at Work.
Men at Work.
I'd like to stop you there.
Yeah.
Stop! I want you to stop!
Stop! Ow.
So I think we'll mention, like...
Dexterity game.
It is a dexterity game.
I told you, I'm on that dexterity hype.
Yep.
Ooh.
Oh, so's Iain.
Yeah, actually, weirdly... Yeah, actually...
At least
to be fair,
right here.
I would say all three of us, last year was such a good year for dexterity games.
It was, yes.
They're all they're all different in their own little ways, which kind of made them
I think
fun.
Previously I've always seen dexterity games feel more like kids' party games.
Yeah,
whereas
100%.
Recently, the releases that have been dexterity games are sort of for all players, and it's things like when you look into the past, you're brought up in dexterity games like Kaplunk.
Yeah,
and now we've got games like Mega City Oceania, which takes some tactical thinking. It feels better suited to an older audience.
Yeah,
I would still say Men at Work and Team 3 kind of come under all-rounders because they are... We'll talk about it even more.
Yeah.
We will talk about that a bit later. So I think now we're moving on to number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3. So, my number 3...
Come on, Stephen!
I believe I remember what my number 3 is.
So
yes, my number 3 is Gugong.
Oh, God.
So, Gugong, we've already kind of touched on Gugong. It falls somewhere between being a point salad and a worker placement game. So, the idea is on everyone's turn... when it comes to your turn, you've got a board, almost like a menu of things you can do, and everything on the board is beneficial to you. It's about determining what is going to be most beneficial to you this turn. You get 2 actions. You get one is the choice of location.
Even sometimes it's about finding what's be the most beneficial thing to prevent someone else getting.
Sometimes, yes, because one of the things that's really cool about this game, and this is why it gets so high on my list, is the worker placement element of the game. Unlike games like Lords of Waterdeep or Champions of Midgard, thank you.
Welcome.
Compared to those two games, rather than just putting a piece on a place where you want to take that action, instead you're playing a card on the place where you want to take the action. That card not only has a secondary action that you can take somewhere else where perhaps you can't afford to place a worker, but there's this really cool element where your card number, which is also printed on the card, has to be higher than the number card that is already there. And these cards stay on the board from round to round. There is an exception where if a number 9 card is down, you can play a 1 to reset it back down to a 1, and then people can start increasing that number again. And the idea is you then take the card that you've replaced and you put it into a pile which starts scoring bonus points at the end of each round. That element of it is kind of what makes it for me, because the whole idea of, if there's a 9 card somewhere, do you really want to place this number 1 card down? Because yes, you're going to be taking an action that's expensive to everyone else, however, at the same time you're making it incredibly cheap then for someone else to take that action. So you're kind of trying to sum up what value card should you do here. Should you jump straight from a number 2 value card to a number 8, for example, and make it incredibly hard for someone else to take that action again? The stuff on the board is... everything on the board kind of feels like its own puzzle. For example, the shipping lanes that are down at the bottom, you're kind of controlling shipping routes down there because you can block one another from being able to move so many spaces and things like that. And you get a different reward depending on what space you land on in the harbour. The wall, the Great Wall of China that you're trying to build, in that one there, you're trying to have the most blocks on the wall by the end
That
of
was
the
odd.
wall building period.
Because you could build it up, and then it would just reset.
Yeah,
Which
and
was
then
really
you start
weird,
building
yeah.
again. I think what it's meant to kind of like represent is you're not building an entire wall.
You're building part
a
of
piece
it, yeah.
of the wall, and you're getting you're kind of getting points depending on who built the most on the wall. There's like, you get a different number of points depending whether you had the most, the second most, the third most, and so on. You have the travel bit, which was kind of a weird kind of journey.
It was useful to get resources though, wasn't it?
It
You ended up
was.
getting like, you could go and get like extra parts and bits and stuff, which was quite...
But essentially the most valuable thing in the game, or the two most valuable things in the game, is going to the place where you can sign a decree, which basically gets you bonus points at the end of the game, which seems to be the best way to get points over the course of the game.
Was there anything
However,
Jade as well?
Jade is
Yeah.
the absolute most valuable thing, and if you can get your hands on a lot of Jade by the end of the
much
game,
Jade.
it gives you a massive bonus to the score, because I think the only person that ended up with a lot of Jade when we played was Sean, and
Yeah.
he ran away with the game. Like, I don't think it was even close. He just crushed all of us.
I think this is the thing with all those games, is like Teotihuacan, that Dead Man's Cabal to some extent, is having that extra, the buffs that will allow you to gain something extra from gaining something else.
Yeah.
So like that happens a lot of the times. We seem to, sometimes you pick up on it, but when you're playing it the first time, you tend not to pick up on something that potentially would be great for you like later game.
Yeah.
So we've done it before with Teotihuacan, where we weren't getting the extra. Was it you could get like the and for everything you land on, you got an extra part or whatever, like an extra cacao or
Yeah.
wood or something like that. So every time you were landing on these things, you were gaining extra things. And it wasn't until we played it maybe like a second time that all of us were taking advantage of that. So every time you land on a tile, you were gaining more resources.
Yeah.
And it's the same with this. It was kind of like we weren't really paying attention to the earning the extra bits. So he was just getting Jade because of landing on a certain bit, and then double Jade because of this and something else. You're like, oh, geez, man, he's really cleaning up.
I certainly think that this is going to be a game which people would enjoy more on a second playthrough.
Yeah,
However,
probably.
I will still say it's a game that if you find yourself falling behind in, say, the first half hour, you have a long wait of not enjoying yourself
the boat,
before
wasn't
the
it?
game finishes. And that's probably the thing which really holds it back for...
I think you
I
need
can
to
understand how that would
I
hold
think
people
if
back.
you invited me around to play Gagong, I'd probably abstain.
Yeah, sure.
It's not that the game's bad, it's that I don't... I think if if you said the options are playing Gugong, Escape Plan, or Quaxqueddenberg, I'd be like,
Quack
can
me
we
up.
not play Gugong?
Yeah,
And
which
I
is
would
fair
happily
enough.
play the other two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I really enjoyed it though. I think it does have a smart
I can see
system
why
to
it would
it.
be fun, and I can see
Yeah,
how it'd be easy to enjoy when you're doing well.
yeah,
It's not that the playing of the game is not enjoyable. It's that when you realise you're playing the game for no reason,
yeah.
it's hard to get invested.
And you can find yourself in a position fairly early on where it's going to be hard to get back into the
I
game.
found myself like that extremely quickly. And did Leon play with us?
No, not that one. No, it
That was
me,
Ted.
you, Darryl, and Sean.
Did Leon play Teotihuacan?
I can't remember.
He definitely played something.
Yeah,
like,
played something like that.
Yeah.
Because whoever was on my left,
I think we played Dead Man's Cabal with him.
okay, whoever was on my left when we were playing it, I ended up beating them.
Yeah,
we played Grifters with him.
Grifters.
Yeah.
That's what we were-
we
Because
did
you
play
kept swapping
Griffiths with
the-
him
Yeah.
as well. Yeah,
Whoever was on my left when we were playing Gugong, I ended up beating by like a point.
Would have been me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was me because you were doing the boat thing and I was on the left
And-
of you.
I think what happened in the game is the gap between me and Sean and you two
Yeah,
was,
it was
huge,
huge.
if I remember right. But then the gap between me and Sean was also huge.
Well, didn't you have to try and get onto the Royal Palace at one point? Wasn't there an issue? if
There was
you
a
didn't-
whole thing of if you didn't make your way all the way up
which
the Royal
you
Palace,
stumbled. You had to get onto because you sort of left it a little bit later on that.
Okay.
you're
Yeah,
out. You're out the game if you
Mm.
don't make it to the very top of the.
Because that was the other issue. I think the only problem is with these games I find is sometimes you spread yourself a little bit too thin.
Yes,
You
can
either
do.
pick a point where you like you. To
It's
be
good
fair,
to try and specialise, basically.
Yeah, you
I
specialised
tried
in
to
the-
specialise, but it didn't feel like an as effective way to specialise as the other routes.
So this was the thing. I tried doing the wall, and that didn't work out very well. And then I was like, well, I'll go on the road, and
Well-
that doesn't.
This is the thing: is in any game, if you try and specialise, it becomes easy for other people to block you.
Yeah,
So you kind of don't want to specialise in one thing. You want to try and specialise in
weird.
one or two.
I don't
things,
feel like
really.
I was even blocked on
No, no,
because
not
I
necessarily.
You're
had
the only
so
one that
much
did.
resources in the shipping routes that I was pretty much happy to do anything I wanted. But
I think there's a couple of really handy bonuses from the shipping route,
But I
which
think
allows
once
you to take more advantage
I
of
think
other
once you
things.
get those, you're supposed to leave the shipping route well alone and like the
Yeah.
double worker,
Mm.
and then just go somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's my number 3.
What can I help you with?
I have man at work.
Okay, we can talk about this more then. Now.
Yeah.
So as we were talking about earlier, Men at Work is a dexterity game. The thing I like about it the most is very, really simple to pick up, literally, and I love the fact that you can essentially try and dick over the other people,
Yes,
but
so,
while still trying as hard as possible not to break your own concentration.
That is the key of the game is
plate apart.
be as difficult as it's like Jenga.
Yeah,
You're taking something, you're putting the next person in a position where it's going to be really hard for them to move
Yeah.
without wrecking it yourself.
because you
So-
don't. Go on.
One of the things I do want to say about this is because of that element, I actually think that although I've put Mega City Oceania on my list and not Men at Work, I think Men at Work is the better game. I do think Men at Work is the better game. However, Mega City Oceania is just the one I prefer.
Yeah.
It is. I enjoy elements of that more because of Mega City Oceania. There's not very much interaction between the players. Yes, you have to keep an eye on the other people's play states and things like that in Mega City Oceania, but you're not. There's nothing you can directly do other than blocking in Mega City
See,
Oceania.
this is where I think Men at Work's more fun, only in the fact that, alright, let's just say it's the balancing a dude on a beam or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you then have to balance a beam. So, like, the thing is, there's certain points where we've played it enough that we can just about get these ridiculous angles on the game.
Yeah,
Which then
I don't
force
think
someone else.
I've ever made a mistake in Men at Work.
Really?
No. Oh, no. You haven't... Have you
I've-
not knocked other people's stuff down, or was that...
No, I've won every game I've played and I've never made a mistake.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm looking forward to the next time I play it and I make a mistake immediately and wreck it.
Well, funnily enough, I think the games that I have won at Men at Work, and this has happened multiple times, I've always ended up losing my first 2 safety certificates
think
almost
everyone does.
immediately.
Yeah, I've never lost a safety certificate.
Yeah, and then somehow with 1 safety certificate left, I've ended up winning a few games from that position. In fact, every time I've ever won the game, it's from a position of losing my safety certificates almost immediately.
I think the thing what's been more and more apparent is we've been starting to up our game, like balancing on the crane more. And
Yeah.
like, there's a cardboard crane in the middle, which essentially has loads of little sort of square cuts out of it, and you essentially can balance on
You
there.
use the hook as well.
Yeah, it gets crazy, and to the point where you start balancing a girder on a dude's arm to a crane, which has then got like another balance beam on it. You're like, how are you?
It's like the hook of the crane down to a bloke's arm, and the bloke's other arm is carrying a hook going to the other bit of the crane, with a bloke
On that beam.
and a beam with a bit going from the one on the hook to the arm of the other guy,
And one of them's
you
carrying bricks.
You're
and, like,
looking at it
little
going,
bits of
"This is about to go."
I think we've actually had it in games before where the entire upper structure of this building we've got is all held up by people, which is amazing. It's so good.
It's got interesting. The thing is, it's really simple to set up. It's all really easy to do. I mean, you just get these little cards which tell you what your next thing is going to be. So it's like a worker with this, or a beam with this. You've got the safety tokens, which essentially are your lives. You've got the little sweet measuring stick for to see if it's above a certain line, which then becomes like the tallest one, and for scooping away debris, which is fun as
One
hell.
thing I would say is when playing Mega City Oceania, I've never picked up a card that says you have to place this beam like this with a person on this colour. I've never had a really difficult card.
Yeah.
I've always had a pretty good run of the draw.
Yeah, I think
So sometimes you
It's
do
the
get a
travelling
card
ones
that's
that
like,
kill you.
sometimes
Yeah.
you do, but do you know what? I kind of, the way I always describe this game is I kind of say it's reverse Buckaroo.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
in Buckaroo, you have a piece that you have to take off the donkey. In Men at Work, you draw a card saying exactly what you have to put on and how, and then you have to put that thing on. It's kind of like the complete reverse of Buckaroo, but that makes this so much better
Yeah.
than Buckaroo, which is a kid's game, let's face it. And this, I think this is still
Accessible.
very much aimed at families and younger players and things like that, but
I think anyone
it's
can play it
still
and enjoy it.
so fun. It's so good.
I think that's the issue with Pretzel games. A lot of their games are very accessible.
Yes,
It doesn't matter the theme so much. The games are so simple to pick up that most people can play them.
I think the idea with Pretzel Games is the reason they're called
Oh,
that
you
is
were saying
because
about this.
you're
You can have a
actually, it's
pretzel in one
designed,
hand.
you can have a pretzel in one hand and still play the game with the other, which is amazing.
I mean, one day we'll try that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm well up for that. I want like proper pretzel though, not like the.
Like a giant,
Yeah,
kind of
well,
like
yeah,
one of the
huge
real
one.
With
breaded
some mustard,
ones
yeah.
rather than the bagged
I'll
ones
take
again.
it, however, like, I quite like. Someone had a cinnamon and like a sweet sugar.
A sweet one.
Like you know when they got like the sugar like crusted on the top.
Yeah, and you can dip it in or whatever. and then
Yeah,
put
it was
on
that,
top.
but it was a cinnamon one. That sounds nice.
Dunno.
Okay. Ian, what's
Me-
your number 3?
Mega City
We
Oceania.
can finally talk about
We
it.
can talk about this. So, 2 dexterity games in one number.
Yum, yum,
Nice.
yum, 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 yum.
Mega City Oceania is a game where you have to build buildings at the instruction of a contract and place them on a map in the best place possible without knocking your building over, but trying to get as high as possible and with the correct number of components, whilst also competing against the other people for the best locations to get the best number of points.
I will say I much preferred this as a 3-player game than a 2-player game. It's still good as a 2-player game, but it gets so much better when you've got 3, and I imagine with a 4th player in, it's going to be even better again.
The reason I prefer this over Men at Work is because when you're building Men at Work, it's a horrendous bundle of mania
Beams and
it's
men.
all over the place. It's gonna fall. Whereas in Mega City, the idea is you're building something yourself that's gonna stay up and it's gonna be good and it's gonna look great, unless you're Steve.
Yes, hello.
And I build these beautiful buildings to the exact, and they look good, and I start moving it on, and Steve's got like a T shape made out of glass, and I'm like, it's like the Teen Titans building, but like
Hollow
made by a moron, and I'm just looking at it like, oh no, it's so ugly, and it's just.
I think this is the different approaches. You try and do it in a very aesthetically pleasing way. I play it as if it's a game.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, it's like half the city is these beautiful buildings, and the other half of the city is our piles of rubble, which happen to meet building rags.
Yeah.
There are a few things that kind of make it a little bit different from other playings, which is you have a bag of like components which are all
Yeah.
oddly shaped, I would say. They're not...
Very
There's a
weirdly
couple
shaped.
that are symmetrical and there's a few that are similar. But you have... Is it glass, steel and concrete?
Yeah.
So some cards and some contracts will not allow you to use certain materials, which makes it kind of
Some
interesting.
will let you only use one.
Yeah. So it gets really interesting when you get to a contract that says this building must be over 75 foot tall, no glass, has to have like a sort of little T shape in it or like a little gap in
or
it.
a garden.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, alright, okay, cool. So sometimes there's rounds where you're just going around collecting parts and you've got so many bits
Yeah.
stockpiled up because you can't complete your next contract until you've done that one.
I know I had one where I managed to pull out of the bag all like 5 of exactly the same shape.
I think this is one of the things that I was going to say as a criticism about this game is there's nothing to stop someone from taking their time, feeling around that
feeling the
bag,
shape.
finding the right
Yeah.
pieces and pulling them out. I kind of feel like you could almost house rule it so that there's a timer as to how long
I think
you
you
could
should,
pick each
because
piece
when we
out.
played, I had 3 of these by accident, and I thought I'm going to get the highest building here, but I need more of that part, and I delved for that part
Yeah.
because I could feel it. I put my hand in, I could feel it. I went, I want that one.
See, there's no rule in the game to say that you can't do that. There's nothing to say that you have a time limit on how long you spend with your hand in the bag to pull
It
pieces
should be
out.
3 seconds.
So,
1,
yeah.
2, 3.
'Cause you're only taking
There's
3
plenty of
parts,
time
aren't
to
you?
go in. Yeah.
That's the thing. So like it's part per second.
I do feel like feeling out parts
But-
that you
but
need
not-
is part of the game.
But not going to the point that I did at one point where I was like, it's in here somewhere. Like, it's got
Yeah,
to be.
yeah. So
One-
I kind of feel like you could house rule that
Yeah.
and probably put a timer on the
One of the
person.
things we've not really mentioned, which is another unique point, is because it's at sea, you have to basically deliver your building in, and this is where it gets really interesting because you can make the most ornate, beautiful standing thing, but as you slowly move it in, it's wobbling, and you're there going,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, oh my god,
Maybe
oh my
yours
god."
do, but my building's a meter
Bull!
building
I've
range.
seen yours fall.
I've
I've seen yours fall.
I-
You cut corners. You hired the wrong people.
I've got to be honest, I think I've only ever seen a handful of the buildings fall down
Yeah.
at that point, but it doesn't change the fact that that tension is always there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you're always watching it, and
I-
everyone's going,
When mine
"Oh."
fell down, it's because I got cocky. Like,
Yeah.
I'd put 3 or 4 buildings on successfully, and I was like,
I've got this.
I got this. These don't fall. Like, and I put it on, and went poof. I was like, oh no, I'm just an idiot. It's fine.
It's a good game. It's a really good game.
Yeah,
Again,
is.
it's got that kind of interesting scoring thing at the end where you've got like who built the most contracts out of a certain colour, who built the tallest
had-
building,
yeah.
most parks. It's like really nice kind of end game point scoring to it. And then at the end you have these amazing kind of art installations almost of like a building in the
Yeah.
middle of like a table.
I think it's time to move on to number 2. This is where, I don't know,
Poo jokes happen.
yeah.
Number 2.
We're into the dark. No.
Yeah. Number 2.
The power hour.
Eins, zwei. Dry is free.
Yeah, I know.
Zwei.
Technically, it comes under what I'm about to say.
So my number 2 is Root.
Right, we can finally talk about Root then.
So we can finally talk about Root. I mean, if you followed the
Everything.
top games of all time that we did, despite not being on any of our number 1 individual lists, through mathematics, Root was our number 1 game, and still stands there if you go onto the website and look at the article.
I mean,
Um,
despite me not even picking it, because I've not played it.
Yeah,
So,
It's one
Yeah.
of the weird games you will get around to, but it's
it's
just...
on my list.
I think we're kind of waiting for the expansion from the Kickstarter to
Oh,
arrive, and then we
yeah.
can play it a bit more.
I mean, we're
I
still
think
waiting
it'll
on a
come out there.
fourth... To actually play it with a full 4 team, actually.
Yeah, so we've never played with the
The Vagabond. No, not the Vagabond.
the Vagabond.
Yeah, the Vagabond, yeah.
Honestly, this simply comes down to the fact that not only is it a really neat game that plays completely asymmetrically, so you can pick different factions on the board and it's a completely different experience each time.
Yeah, which is nice.
Both have, every single faction has its own tactics and ways to play. I have actually been hearing now that apparently the not mercenaries,
The Badger?
it's the green mice faction. I've forgotten what they're called.
The Resistance.
The Resistance, thank you. The Resistance apparently are very overpowered.
That doesn't surprise me, considering how we played it.
No, I mean, I've retired playing as the Resistance now because I've never lost a game when I've played as them.
It's a unique...
So I just won't play as them again, I don't think, from now on, and I want to try the other factions.
Yeah, so one of the things I really like about it is the fact that when you set it up, it kind of takes you through 2 rounds of training.
It does, yeah.
Which then leads into the full game. So once you've done these 2 rounds of training, you know all you need to know about your individual faction.
Yeah.
So that makes it really, really simple to go, because you already start playing and you've already got round to it, and by the time you've got to like this 3rd round, you're ready to go, you know all your rules, you know everything. So I played as the Marquis, I think it was.
Yeah.
Sean played as...
Marquis de Cat.
Marquis de Cat. Oh yeah, Marquis de Cat.
That has to be intentional.
Oh, 100%.
We think a lot of it is.
I think this is another reason why I love this game so much, because there's so much in there that you can completely gloss over and not realise that it's intentionally put in there as part of the lore, as a clever reference or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, even down to the fact that the pieces, the ways they're looking, like the way their eyes are oriented, reflects on the faction as well. There's so many little things in there that are just beautifully designed.
Yeah, there's some... The thing is, again, it's like it's really aesthetically pleasing. That's the thing. Like,
yes.
as a base kind of thing, it's got some really nice, interesting colours. But basically, I was playing cats, Sean Birds, you, the Resistance. The Resistance. Each plays really differently. So, like, the birds roost and bring back numbers. I basically need to just destroy the forest for wood. You guys do this, like, influence thing, which is really unique.
Yeah, so... I think the reason why the Resistance are so overpowered is because it never looks like they're in control of the board, because a lot of their pieces aren't usually on the board, but they kind of explode and pop up every now and again and then disappear again. It's very much guerrilla tactics.
It's very hard to get rid of influence as well. This was the thing. Once you guys have built up, we can't control you, and this was the issue we found.
I think people have to gang up on La Resistance in order to really keep them under control. If one side isn't willing to help out the other in controlling the Resistance, they will just run away with it. They really will.
I think we're looking forward to playing as the other expansions, like is it beavers and something else? Like
I want
beavers?
to take the Resistance out of the game and put in the beavers. Really,
Yeah.
I would, because I think every faction in the game, you have to take out a certain faction in order to put one of the new ones in. And I believe the Resistance are supposed to be taken out to put the beavers in, which are kind of like arms dealers.
Yeah, you got...
Is it game?
When you told me that, I was like, I would like to be beaver arm dealer.
Yeah, I think the idea is, like, all the other factions get bonuses from buying things from the beavers, but then in turn the beavers get more and more powerful over the course of the game. So people want to...
The Lords of War.
They want to associate with the beavers and get the advantages of allying with them before everyone else does. But then everyone else then wants to go to the beavers to try and even the playing field a bit more. So at the same time, though, everyone's kind of thinking, God, if we keep going to them, they're going to get out of control, kind of thing. And I really like the idea of that. I hear the lizards.
Desperation.
Yeah, I feel like the lizards as well, I've heard, are very annoying to play against, and that could be interesting to see. There's a lot of life still in this game that we haven't explored yet. True. Because we simply... I'm getting the Riverfolk expansion as part of my pledge for the Kickstarter, which is also going to add things... I think it adds different vagabond characters that you can play as and things like that, like completely different profiles for them, which make them feel more unique. I know there's already cards in the box that let you play as different vagabonds, but apparently...
Because the vagabond you can play for both sides, can't you? He has no penalty, wasn't it?
Like he kind of like allies himself with someone eventually. But kind of goes off and has his own little adventure whilst everyone else is invested in this war.
Weirdly, the RPG seems to suggest that I think you play as a vagabond team, going off and doing your thing, which I think is kind of cool that they've made this. So again, it's getting bigger and bigger in lore terms.
It really is. But yeah, looking forward to expansions coming out, and much like my entry when we did our main games of all time, it is my number 2.
Oh.
Ha.
We are on number 3, alright?
Number 2.
Number 2.
Well, for me it's 3. Team 3!
How have we done this? How have I gone 4, you gone 2, and no one's put Team 3 as number 3?
I think it's 'cause
that's kind of
upsetting.
displeasing.
It's very upsetting. Okay, so now we can talk about Team 3.
Team Dry.
So, like I think we said earlier that we played it at the Games Expo,
did.
and we found that we were just idiots. Then we played it a second time, and we were like, oh, we found our calling in life, you know? So we've played it since...
Professional Team 3 players.
Professional Tetris players!
MLG.
Oh,
Well, we did that. We played the easy mode, and then when we looked back at the hard mode, we wondered how you would even do it without the blindfold.
So, since then, we've actually got really into it with the hard... we went up some modes. We didn't go to hard mode, but we went up to, like...
We have completed some hard ones, but it's been like 1 in 3, funnily enough.
So we've been...
Yeah.
So we've managed to do it, but again, it's one of those games where it's really quick to like teach people. It's really nice once you find your... But we kept swapping though, didn't we?
We did, yes.
So it was a case of this time we were just trying it out as different people, and again, you very much find that certain people are much better at certain aspects of the game.
Yeah.
Which is really good fun. But for me, again, it's a dexterity game. I love the fact that you can just bring it out, maybe play like 30 minutes, 20 minutes of it, and you're done.
Yeah.
You know, it's big chunky pieces. It's very pleasing. Again, it's the cards. It's quick. It's simple. It wasn't expensive.
No, you can buy both sets because it comes in a pink and green set, which both have different mini games to them. And buying both of those is still going to work out cheaper than sometimes buying a big box game. And a lot of the times, this game is more fun. It also allows you to play as 2 individual teams then in kind of like a 3 versus 3 race against the clock.
That'd be quite cool.
The mini games, I think the best one is the one in the pink box, the one where you have to make the 3D shape.
Yeah, so we tried that just as a play around.
Even without taking on the roles and trying to build the 3D shape, it was still hard to do that within 3 minutes.
This is the thing, yeah. So there is aspects of it that tend to be almost like we were looking at before, like when we played at the Games Expo, that you can't almost see how you're going to do it under that stressful kind of, you know, I can't tell you about this, you can't see this, you know, that kind of aspect. So it's kind of, it's fun. It's a good game.
It is, yeah. Right, your number 2.
My number 2 is Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Hooray!
Finally talk about that then.
Okay, we've already talked a bit about this.
Yes, we talked about it relatively
Very
detailed.
briefly.
The idea is you get lots of different ingredients, all of which give different buffs, and you're pushing your luck because if you get too many, you can make your potion explode.
So what's kind of neat about this is it's kind of set out as if all the alchemists have come together for a big festival where they're going to be making potions on the spot, and so you're all racing to gather the ingredients that are going to give you the best chance of moving up this kind of swirled tracker that gets you a different amount of points depending on how far you get along this tracker along the way. It's
There's actually a Quedlinburg.
weird. It's
I think
kind of
we've talked about this before, haven't we? Quedlinburg is a place in Germany.
we did,
This
yeah.
is why you're
We never
forgetting.
we never actually released the video of. We did make a let's play, which sorry, we never did the let's play element of it, but we did a learn to play kind of thing, which
Well,
we
maybe
never
that.
actually got round to releasing because we kind of wanted to do a let's play at the same time and have the videos released in unison, but it never happened because of time and stuff like that. We do plan on doing like more let's play videos and stuff like that, but again, it's finding the time to get us all in a room together at the same time to be able to do it. We kind of figured out how we would do it with our cameras. Like we had the GoPro and we were able to film little bits individually and stuff. But anyway, back to the game. There were a lot of bad jokes is all I remember that I wanted to mention. I think we just talk about the city, don't we? And
I think
the Schloss Museum.
The Schloss Museum.
Yeah.
I looked at Google Maps where Quedlinburg was and what it contained, and it basically all I could find was that there was a Schloss Museum.
What is the Schloss Museum?
Should we look it up?
We could do.
Do you guys want to talk about quacks while I look up the Schloss Museum?
So this
That'd be
game,
good.
like I said when I was talking about Deep Blue, this is a simpler version of Deep Blue, although this one came first. You have a bag, you have ingredients in them, you're buying ingredients over the
Schloss
course of the game.
Museum.
Schloss Museum.
It's the Schloss Museum.
I don't know, I think we keep asking, what is a Schloss Museum? And
It is where the Germans keep all of their Schloss.
Oh!
And what is Schloss?
It's a good question.
It's got a high rating.
Man, it's a popular attraction.
It's the
Oh,
only
wow.
attraction.
It's the, yeah.
So the idea is then you're going into your bag and trying not to make it explode, because you're always going to have the little explodey ingredients in there, which if you get too many
Bei
of...
Schlossberg is a 25 high plateau in Quedlinburg with questionable accent.
Yeah.
Except cookies. It was initially graced with a church and a residence under King Heinrich I.
Henry the Fowler.
So what is a Schloss then?
It's a good question. Oh, it's a palace.
So it's a palace museum
So it's a palace. It's an old palace that they've turned into a
with
museum.
a museum in it, so it doesn't say what the museum... Well, I suppose it's just
I
like
think
a
it is.
general
They've turned
museum.
the palace into a museum of what the palace was. Like when you go to like the like Roman baths.
Right,
They've
okay.
uncovered it. And
Okay, cool.
it's a palace in Quedlinburg where King Heinrich lived.
Henry the Fowler.
Perhaps if we ever get to Essen one of these days, perhaps we'll take a
If
diversion
we're
and
doing that, we're
go
going
to Quedlinburg.
Yeah.
Are we going to play the game in the museum?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are literally playing
dress
Quedlinburg.
as wizards.
Oh my god.
Sit in Quedlinburg and play quacks.
I really like the idea the locals are like, oh, not again.
These nerds keep coming to our town.
It's beautiful for the economy, but
In the way, I want to go to the Schloss Museum.
every day I work, I go to the Schloss Museum.
Wolfgang Forsch, we love your games, but why?
Why not pick maybe Ostenburg?
But yeah, it's a really good game. It's really fun. It's like I say, it's not quite as chaotic as Deep Blue, but I kind of feel like this is an acceptable
They do
level
not have
of
this
chaos.
problem in Frankfurt.
People just eat hot dogs there.
Next time, Quacks of Frankenfurt. But yeah,
All of
it's,
these sweaty nerds.
Look at him.
oh God. But
Sorry.
yeah, it's. I feel like this is kind of like the right level of chaos. Like, if you don't like people deliberately screwing up your game,
It's your
this
fault.
one,
If you mess up, it's your fault.
it is.
Yeah.
It is very much your fault.
Very much in your own control.
So I think as a game, yes, Quacks of Quedlinburg is better. I think than Deep Blue. However, I just have more fun with Deep Blue.
That does swear.
Yeah.
Are we on to our number one then?
Uno,
Oh, we're going to number one.
Numero uno.
Drum
por
roll,
favor.
please.
Ooh, Letter Jam.
Letter Jam. So we're
You
Tired.
Both going Letter Jam.
I've not played Letter Jam, which is why it's not on my list, but it seems like the sort of game I'd love, assuming I'm not playing it with an incompetent.
No, I think playing it with incompetence
So much
makes
better.
the game
so much
it's
better.
so good.
Being said incompetent.
I was actually going to ask if I can borrow it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I imagine so. It would not be a problem today, or... Yep.
Can you play it two-player?
Yes, you can, because you've got the NPC stands and things like that. So that... I don't know whether it'll be necessarily as fun with two players.
The other thing as well, I suppose you want me to go, I've got a thing that can help one of you.
Yeah,
Doesn't really- yeah.
It doesn't really...
Might leave it then, but
I would.
I do want to play
Do
it.
you think?
We'll make it a priority. Like, next time we get a game night with more than two people,
It's very good.
we will 100% play it. Yeah, I love this game. It's just...
Crack
This-
on with yours.
This and...
Crack on with yours, and then
Shall we come back
Then
to
we'll
Letter
gush
Jam?
over Letter Jam.
Right, okay. Mine's Dwarven Beer Fest.
Yep.
Yep.
Not much more to say other than it's a push your luck game where you are a bunch of dwarfs drinking beer, wine, shandy, ale, and the idea is you have like a mode where you're sober and you're drinking, and you can go into your drunk mode, and you have to bank all these drinks, and whoever has the most drinks, or the most points, but usually the most drinks,
Yeah.
wins the game at the end. This is a game we played at UK Game Expo, a game
Yes.
that I have forever since regretted not buying, and I have.
Did you not get a Kickstarter? In
I have got the Kickstarter.
Okay.
I'm quite high on the tier. I put quite a lot into it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to Dwarven Beer Fest.
It'd be nice to see how much different it is.
Yeah, we've done a Let's Play of Dwarven Beer Fest.
We have, yes.
It's great fun. I think I enjoy it a lot more than any other person I've met.
the thing is, it's wonderfully themed.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing, like the longest burp at the end of it.
Yeah, so there is
there's
a mechanic. So on each drink you drink, there's like a burp and how much it adds to your.
And it
your
minuses
burp.
as well, doesn't it? Some of it. It's
Yeah.
quite interesting.
And the idea is you get bonus points at the end for whoever has the most score in burp. So the idea is at the end of the drinking session, your dwarf has burped the loudest and the longest.
Yep.
Which I think is great.
You also have things like your favourite drink as well. So sometimes you want
Yeah.
to manipulate what's in other people's trays and bring it into yours because you get your bonuses at the end for having all of your drinks in there.
There's like the cards as well, the rounds.
Yeah.
So the different rounds let you play different cards, and there's some really fun ones where it's like, give me that or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's your
Yes.
favourite drink, you can steal it
Yeah,
from
like
someone else.
that's mine. Or it's like, I'll
Yeah.
finish that for you if someone's got something in their
Yeah.
flask and they've not
Or you
drunk
can
it.
you can hide stuff in your hit flask for later. That's
Yeah.
really good as well.
So in Quacks of Quedlinburg, the push your luck element, if you push it too far, you only have like one life kind of thing where you've got that potion where you can
Yeah.
put your last token back in your bag and draw another one. You can refill your potion bottle in there, but it's down to you whether you choose to do that or not. Whereas in Dwarven Beer Fest, you've got these action cards that allow you to constantly manipulate it if you really want to. So
Yeah, what I would say is if you don't bank the last drinks you've had and you push it up too far, you vomit them everywhere and they're
Yeah.
gone,
yeah.
which is brilliant.
Yeah, again, love this game. Again, it kind of feels really harsh because there's a lot of games that have been mentioned that have been left off my top 10. I will say, with the exception of Warcry, which I have not played,
It's fine.
every other game was definitely considered for this top 10. Every single one, and that includes Dwarven Beer
I think it's
Fest as
difficult
well.
because at the end of the day, we've chosen stuff that we personally found really fun.
Yes.
Like I would have picked Dwarven Beer Fest, but I think you just love it a lot more than.
yeah.
I really enjoy
you
it.
find it like the thing is we all found it really really good, and I really do enjoy it. But I think as a personal level, you find it just that much more appealing.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Do you know something? I honestly feel like if we had made it our aim to really go through every single game with a fine-tooth comb
Yeah.
and pick out the best games, I think we would have just ended up with something that was just the same as everyone else. What we're doing is we are actually picking things which we find fun.
These
and
are our
have-
favourite games, and
Yeah.
without sounding rude, Dwarven Beer Fest isn't the best game. It is the game I had the most fun playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference. There's some games you can look into and you think the level of thinking that to go into making it shows how how clever and complicated the game can be and how it functions. Stuff like Gugong, for example, when you look at it, the level of complexity in the game is so high. You might say it was a really good game, but I had so much fun playing something like Dwarven Beer Fest, which would probably be considered a little bit simpler. That's where this scale is going. I had the most fun playing that game.
I think this is probably why I've picked my number one, purely based on the fact that
Exactly. It's the same
I was
with me.
nearly in tears,
I think this is.
crying with laughter.
Yeah.
Do you know what? One of the best examples I could give is I really love Food Chain Magnate as a board game, and I think it is amazing. I absolutely love it. In terms of my game group, though, everyone else hates it. They really don't like it at all. And the thing is Food Chain Magnate is a brilliant game. And I don't think you can look at it. I don't think someone can look at Food Chain Magnate and say, this game is awful, it's badly put together and things like that. It's an ingeniously put together game in terms of how thematic it is, the way all the systems work in with one another. However, it doesn't always make a fun game.
No.
And this is what this list is based on. It's based on how much fun we have with it. And this is why we now go back to Letter Jam.
Letter Jam.
And my god, this and Decrypto are the two games which I can never remember laughing at.
The
Oh my
Crypto
God.
is so good. It didn't come out this year, did it?
No, it's we
It's the-
can't add it to this list. But if
I
it
did
was
ask.
if it was released in 2019, I think I would. I can't speak for Darryl, but I would say I would really struggle as to which one I would put at my number one.
It's difficult with the
would
crypto,
have been
yeah.
my number 2 had I.
It would have been in my top 10 100%.
Yeah.
I probably would have. I would have struggled to find it.
I
It-
honestly think
two, probably
Letter
not.
Jam just edges Decrypto. I think.
So the
in terms
thing
of
with Letter
working.
Jam-
And as a group, we like edging.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do. Speaking of edging, so Letter Jam and Andy, is probably one of the two greatest combinations.
I've heard the stories of what happened.
The combinations. Right, so...
Darryl, your word is be something S. Did you know boss is a word? What? No!
Right, so...
No, Darryl!
Basically... Right. So the way it works is obviously you all pick your own letter. We usually seem to nominate 5 letters for our word, right? So naturally we're all idiots and we all pick stupid words. Yeah, fair enough. Right?
Yes, yeah.
You then pass your word to your right or whatever, left, either way. And then the other person has your letter and essentially has to try and guess what it is by the end of the game. Now the thing that makes this interesting is obviously you are somewhat trying to help each other out, but at the same time not over helping each other out. So you've got Andy and Steve going, I think I've got one that would definitely get 2 of you. So you go, alright, fair enough, that's cool. So they then make a word using the like AI aspect of the cards that are up there and potentially yours as well.
I think what it is like the AI cards that are there, anyone can make a word using those cards there.
Yeah.
However, you want to try and incorporate the letters that are on the other people's cards because
to help them out.
Yeah, there's no point in making a word out of the cards that are on the NPC stands because that helps no one.
So the game in question, for quite a while, I assumed the letter was I
Or O.
or O. And about 6 rounds of them going, you've definitely got this now, you've definitely got this now, you've definitely got this now. I think it's I. Scribbled out.
So
it's O.
Can I just say, just to clarify things a little, this was partly my fault because earlier in the round, the clue that would have been put Darryl's way was CL something CK, which could be cluck, as in the noise that a chicken makes. It could be click. It could be clock.
It could be clack.
Yeah. So there were several things that it could have been based on a word that I'd given earlier in the round.
Naturally, I went for, I think, clock.
But the thing is, you completely discarded the U.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Despite the fact that in another round, Andy had given you the clue of B something LL, which again could be Bill, it could be Bull, it could be Ball, but it couldn't be Ball.
Yeah.
Which is why
O-L-L.
So, which is why then I just disregarded 0. Sorry.
Yeah.
And went I. Went, yeah, it's got to be this. This is the only way it
Despite the
could
fact that
be.
you actually did fit in
Yeah.
every single word that was
So
given
by
to
the end
you
of
as
it,
well.
they are crying with laughter. I'm in tears. They're like, I've got this. Finally, it clicks. I get it. I've got it.
But the thing is, it was because
It wasn't.
like I said, we gave you the clue, B something S. Okay, there is no such word as bis. So the I is actually the one which
But
should have been.
Boss came back. I was in there.
But you still, like you said, you still went with the I.
I know.
Despite the fact that it did.
Anyway, long story
it's
short,
those
my word at the
situations.
end made no sense.
No,
It was so
no.
fantastic.
But I mean, it's those situations, and yes, you're laughing at someone's shortcomings, but that really makes
It
the
makes
game.
the game. This is the thing. I would say I can take a joke, so that's not an issue. I don't think
You
it'd
don't
be
feel-
that bad. No.
You don't feel bad about
No.
having you be the centre of the joke because
But
of your shortcomings
it's
and things
so
like that. 'cause-
funny. That's the thing. It's so funny because the fact is you're trying to work out what letters you've got
Yeah.
whilst helping out other people. The whole time you're just like, huh? I've got a 6-letter word. You're definitely gonna. This is the key phrase that then kills you. I've got definitely a 3-letter word or 4-letter word. He's definitely gonna get it. Okay, cool. And I sit there scratching my head like, what the fuck are they talking about?
Can I actually say that a lot of the magic of this game as well is the fact that you don't have to be someone that is that excels.
You don't have to be
In terms
wordy.
of
You don't have to be a
lingually,
Scrabble
yeah.
player.
Yeah.
You don't have to be. Sometimes the 3-letter word that guarantees that someone is going to get what their word is far more useful than an 8-letter word that is just going to confuse people.
Yeah.
That no one else knows. So it is kind of you can play this with anyone in any age group, really. I would say it is going to be harder to play with young children, but they can still play it. You can actually, it even says in the rules as well, you can shorten down your word because at the beginning of the game you have these letter cards that just have a single letter written on it, and they're distributed evenly among the number of players. and you're meant to look at them and you're meant to make a 5-letter word out of them. If you can't make a 5-letter word, you can then use the discarded cards from other people to give you more letters to be able to make a 5-letter word, because it is entirely possible that you could have a word with no vowels at all. You could have a hand of letter cards with no vowels at all, which makes it really hard to make a 5-letter word.
I think this is what happened to me the last time I played it. I basically had to wait till them two had finished so I could scrounge off them, because I was missing key words.
But you can make the game significantly easier. It does say in the rules by shortening it down to a 4-letter word or something like that, or a 3-letter word, or you can make it harder. You can make it harder by making it a 6-letter word. But what I'm saying is they've covered their bases really well, and where you can see there would be weaknesses, they've kind of covered it.
There's a really nice system as well, so you don't get to sort of steamroll always giving the clues.
This is a problem in fully I should mention this is a fully cooperative game, and quarterbacking is a serious issue. Yeah,
whereas with this they have this kind of nice system where when you make your first clue, you take a little. It's on a petal, weirdly.
Yeah.
You take like a little like gem. And then it means that when you get to, is it 2?
You have to have 2. When you've got 1 token of each colour, you then have to wait until everyone has.
So essentially, it would be, if you're forever giving clues, it doesn't mean that you're the one that's leading the team. So say you are really, really well versed in different like words and languages and stuff.
Yeah.
You'd probably be able to just kind of go, okay, so I've got a 3-letter word, blah 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 blah. I've got a 4-letter word. So it kind of makes it that everyone gets a chance in order to give a clue, which is actually quite good fun.
Okay. And my God, we've been talking for nearly 2 hours. So at this point, I think we will cut the video here. Like I said, they're going to go to bed now. There are loads of games that we have not even played, so please do let us know what your favourite games of 2019 were in the comments down below. You can find all of our stuff in one place at everybodydice.com. You can follow our social medias on @everybodydice_show for Instagram and @everybodydice on Twitter. And finally, if you really enjoy what we do, then you can go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/everybodydice, and we have a couple of things there that you can get for as little as $1. Apart from that, we have a couple of extra videos which should be on screen about now. By all means, go over and click them if you've enjoyed this and watch some of those. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and we will see you next time. So, bye.